Welcome to the Private Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Storme, here to help you unlock the mind, business, and spirit of your private practice success. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to grow, this is the place for you if you really want to create a thriving private practice. Before we dive in, I want to share something that can really make a difference in your business. Imagine having an expert in your pocket, someone available on demand whenever you need guidance. Well, that's exactly what my new program, Practice Momentum, offers. With over 30 years of experience at your fingertips, you can now get the support you need whenever you need it. Curious? Head over to brooklynstorme.com to learn more. And now let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. How has your week been going? It's Wednesday. How's your week been going? Mine has been going really, really well. We just had another beautiful soul join Practice Momentum today, just a little while ago, actually. And I really love her energy. She's just like diving straight into everything. It's so good because, of course, that energizes me, right? When I see people taking the action, then I want to show up even more and help them even more. And I'm so excited for her business. It's been a really, really powerful week. There was also somebody that I spoke with yesterday. We were talking about fees because I did her website wellness review. And so we were talking about the fees and, some stuff came up around money mindset. And anyway, after we had the conversation, I sort of checked in with her a little bit later and said, hey, I'd love to know, how did you go after our talk with what we said? And she's shared with me that it was really great to chat with me. She said that I think the mindset shift around charging a higher fee actually supports a client to value more and connect more to their own inner work and transformation. And I was so pleased, and I agree 100%. So then I sort of checked in with her and said, okay, so how are you feeling about the fee and everything now that we've had this discussion? And she said, it's really inspiring just knowing that there can be a different perspective and a different approach to the money side of private practice. Really helpful. So I love it so much. And honestly, I'm only meant to be talking to the people in Momentum between 8 and 9 in the morning and then 1 and 2 in the afternoon. But I'm addicted. I have to say, it's my latest obsession, and I'm in there a lot and helping everybody sort of in our little community, but also, in our private side chats. And it's in the private side chats that, I am noticing a little bit of a trend, okay? Because remember, the women who are in Practice Momentum, they're all very motivated, and they're all, because of their high level of motivation, they're all taking action on everything, right? And anyway, everybody's kind of having their own sort of experience of this and their own response to it. Somebody shared their story with me, and then so did somebody else, and then so did somebody else. And so it's just been a lot. And I thought it might be helpful if I share a little bit of what's going on for some of the ladies in the program, because I think it might be helpful for you to hear it as well. Okay. So there have been people that have been admitted into the program that when they joined, it was kind of dire straits. Like, seriously, realistically, they probably needed this program about 12 months ago. It's kind of like, it reminds me of, when you, I don't know, this happens to me because I'm neurodivergent and I understand it now, but I never used to understand it before. But I'm that person who will probably pull over on the side of the road because I've got no petrol left in the car. And this is what I think has happened for some people. It can happen for many of us, right? It just never occurs to us to get help, or we think about getting help, but we don't follow through for whatever reason. We tell ourselves, it's not available, or we can't afford it, or we can't find the right person, or nothing's going to work, etc., etc. Like, we get in our own way, we self-sabotage our success sometimes. We get caught up in fear mindset. Anyway, so there are people that, they kind of needed help a long time ago, but they've waited until it's become the pointy end of the stick. I think that's the saying. And now they're getting help. And, it can feel, tricky. You might have found yourself in a position where perhaps you're just not booking clients, or when clients book, maybe they're not rebooking, or you don't have that predictability with the money coming into the practice. So you don't know if you can pay yourself this week. You don't know if you can pay the bills and the on costs of running the practice this week. So it feels like, although you're working really, really hard, you've kind of like got a low income. And, you might also be thinking about, well, I've got savings and I really don't want to dip into those. Or maybe you've even started dipping into the savings. Or maybe you might be even thinking about going back to work. It's a feeling of, like you want to give up. It just feels really hard and you don't know why, because here's the thing, like, you're really, really good at what you do, and it's just baffling why nothing's moving with the business. And then when somebody comes along and says, I can help you, I can spot your blind spots really easily, right? Now, maybe it's because of my autism, but it just turns out like I'm very good at seeing, because I'm on the outside, perhaps, I don't know, but I'm very good at seeing the blind spots and plugging them. Like, I know straight away, oh, this is what's missing here. Like, I can look at that puzzle and say, right, this piece of the puzzle is missing, and I can give you the piece. And then it's up to you if you're going to go and, complete the puzzle and use the piece and all those kinds of things. But for some people, it's like they've got a puzzle, but they've been sort of maybe I'm laughing because I used to do it when I was in kinder, but you see some children do it, like how they try and force pieces of the puzzle together, and then all the cardboard starts to go fluffy on the outside and everything. That was me. I was that person. But anyway, I think it can happen in private practice. You just kind of feel like if you just keep forcing, if you just keep pushing, if you just keep doing more of what you've already been doing, it will eventually work. There'll come a tipping point. And it doesn't. And then someone like me comes along and says, oh, I can see blind spot. You've got one there, you've got one there, you've got one there, you've got one there. Let's plug that. Here's a resource. Here's a template. Let's do this, da, 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 da. Somebody said, I had no idea that things were so bad. So I had done her website wellness review, and she didn't understand why nobody was booking it. But straight when I did it, I could see straight away, oh, there's a missed opportunity. If she just fixes that, that'll help. If she just gets that sorted out, that'll help, And so anyway, she's reviewing like the website audit that I did for her. And then she's saying, it just feels so, like I had no idea. Like, I had no idea about all this stuff that you've just mentioned. I had no idea. And it's a lot. And I just feel like now that I understand, like now I can see it. Now you've said it, I see it. I just didn't see it before, but now you've said it, I can't unsee it. And you're totally right. But I just feel like I'm at the bottom of a hill with a 90-degree incline, and it's just going to be so hard to get to the top. And, I really felt it when she shared that with me. I really did. But the thing is that it's going to feel like that a lot of the time, because the reason that there's an issue or a challenge or a struggle or whatever verbiage you want to use is because there was something that you just didn't know. And so, learning can feel like something, big, especially if your energy is already, sort of depleted, and your mood isn't great because you're down on yourself, and, you're sabotaging yourself, and there's all this negative self-talk, and it's really not helping. Do you know what I mean? All of that is very, very real. And I guess, what I wanted to share with you is that my response was, you're not alone. Like, there are so many people that are struggling in their private practice, but the difference between you and them right now is, it feels at the moment like you're at the bottom of that hill and it is steep. But they don't even know that there's a hill, right? Other people don't even know that there's a hill. You know it's there and you know what's at the top of it. They don't even know that there's a hill, so they've got no even concept of what's at the top of it. And the second thing too is, you have a Sherpa now. You have a Sherpa. I'm going to help you get up that hill. I'm not going to do it for you. I can't do it for you, right? It's something you're going to have to do. I cannot walk up that hill for you. But by crook or by hook, I am going to give you all the tools that you need to summit. Absolutely. I would be a very good business coach if I didn't. And I'm going to walk, how people say I'll walk beside you. Absolutely, I'm going to walk beside you every single day. If that's what you want, I'm going to walk right there and we're going to do it together. And you can check in. You can ask me to have a look at what you're doing, see that you're on the right track, on the right path, everything. You're going to do it. And it's going to be great because guess what? Every time you learn a new skill, you can't unlearn it, and that skill stays with you, and that's very, very, very empowering. It's going to give you a nice dopamine hit, and it's going to help set you up to do more learning and achieve more goals and get things sorted out in the business. So it's really, 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 really good. These feelings of, it feels like it's too much. I'm not sure if I can do it. They're really, 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 really normal. But my heart goes out to the people who have the realization perhaps, but no support. Like for whatever reason, they just block themselves from getting the help. I am so thankful that there are people that I get to work with that have allowed themselves, have given them permission, have seen how it can be such a benefit. So anyway, and the way that we get people from, or the way that you can get yourself from being at the bottom of the hill to sort of summiting the hill is with a plan and actually implementing it, as you know. So there are so many people in private practice and that struggle, and they wait until it's a crisis point to try and seek help. And that's probably not the best time, because when you're in that state of mind, things are really, really bad. Maybe no one's booking, maybe there's no money coming into the business, all the things, right? And your mindset isn't where it needs to be to run the business effectively and all that kind of stuff. And we're acting from scarcity, we're acting from desperation, we're acting from fear mindset. When that happens, that's going to be like one of the worst places to go and get help for some people, because for some people, their mindset is really, really just so embedded in imposter syndrome that without the right support, what's going to happen is if they start working with someone, or maybe they enroll in a program, or maybe they enroll in a course or something like that, nothing's going to work. They probably won't get much benefit from it because they're so stuck in things not working out for them. So they'll go and enroll in a course or a program or something like that, start, with a different supervisor, and they'll be receiving guidance and strategy and help and things like that, but for some reason it's just going to get blocked. It's not going to sink in, it's not going to work because we're in that state. So for people who are in that state, the first thing to focus on is getting yourself grounded. Really seriously get yourself grounded. You need to be able to pull yourself together long enough to be able to say, okay, am I in or am I out? And if you're in, you're in. And if you're out, you're out. And if you're in any doubt, you're out. Okay? Because you can't keep going the way that you're going. And so something needs to change, obviously. How do you know when it's the right time to sort of get some support in your business? Well, I would say as soon as you become aware that there's a pattern emerging. And usually it takes, about 3 months to 6 months to see if there's a pattern emerging. So have a go at things yourself. If you notice there's a trend happening here, there's something that's repeating, and it's not what you want, then that would be the time to go and get some help. Don't wait until it's too late, okay? So yeah, it's also because of feelings of shame or embarrassment that can come up when we realize that we've made mistakes in the business. Now, I don't believe that there's a mistake. I think it's only a mistake in the business if you don't grow from it, right? So if you make a mistake in the business and nothing changes, then yeah, probably let's call it a mistake. But if you have a growth mindset, if you have that business mindset, that business head, and you understand about a growth mindset, then I don't believe it's a mistake. I think it's a lesson, and I think your business becomes better for it. And I really believe that for all kinds of things, right? Whether somebody continues to work with you or they stop, whether I don't know, maybe you've got a feedback form or something like that, and somebody writes something on it that doesn't make you happy. These are not mistakes. It's not that you've done anything wrong. These are opportunities for lessons here, and those lessons are given to you so that you can grow into the practice you need to be for the people that need you the very, very most, right? And running a business isn't easy. And I think it's a million times harder for people who never went and did a private practice business course, because you don't know how to run a private practice without those skills. You're kind of doing what you think you should be doing and praying and hoping for the best. And for some people, the minority, it's going to work out great, for all kinds of reasons. Maybe they've got like a really great location, or maybe they're the only perinatal, psychologist in, Cooey, whatever it is. There'll be a minority of people that can do that, but most people can't. And it's also going to be really, really challenging if you don't understand about marketing and you've never done a course on how to market your private practice, right? You might think you're marketing, but we're just posting random stuff. But it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to be accountable and to, say to yourself, okay, it's not working, now I need help. And then to actually go and seek that help and get started, by the way. There are so many people that are aware that they need support and aware that they need some help, and they'll take a little bit of a step, but then they don't let themselves get the full support or the full help. You know what I mean? Because that fear comes back, right? They're really, 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 really afraid. And so, having the awareness around, I need to change, or I need to learn this thing, whether it's about you need to learn why your website isn't getting you inquiries and it's not getting you bookings. You need to learn that. It can feel like, when somebody says, well, these are all the reasons why, and here's what we're going to do about it, suddenly you're aware and you're like, oh my gosh, and it can be painful initially, but it's the first step towards fixing it. And it's the first step towards improvement, and things can only get better from here, right? And that's why you're here, because you want things to get better in your practice. And I understand what it's like, because the same thing happened to me. I was saying this to somebody during the week. She was struggling, and I shared a story. I said it's relatable. Like, I had the same issue. When I first did my website, I thought it was that good. Like, I was super duper proud of my website, thought it was amazing. Looking back at it now, no, I'm just going to cringe. Like, it was so bad. But at the time, I didn't realize that it was bad. Bad in terms of doing its job. I just thought everybody needs a website, and so you just go and make one. So I made one, put it up there, and boom, there it was. So yeah, I was walking around like a peacock, thinking that I was the best thing since sliced bread, because look at this. And I was showing anybody who was interested. I was showing people at the cafe where I was renting space from. There's a cafe at the bottom there. I was showing them when I was going to get my coffee. Oh, look, I made a website. I was so proud of it. Did it get me a client? No. So, I get it, especially because I had to go on my own learning journey and fix it. And now I've got a really high converting website, which is awesome. And that's why I'm so passionate now about sharing that knowledge with you, so that if you're like I was and you made this website you really loved and you're really proud of, but if it's not getting you inquiries, then yeah, let's fix it. But there was also something else that's happened more recently that I shared with her, and I haven't really shared it before, but I've kind of, I guess, tiptoed around it, skirted around it. But look, I'll just tell you, it was similar. The experience was similar for me in terms of going to the gym, right? Stay with me. I'll tell you how. It was so similar. Because what had happened was years ago, like 5 years ago, I started, I moved, right? I started looking after a family member. Everything started to change. And at that time, like for that period of 4 or 5 years, what my experience was that by and large, I didn't want to leave the house because I was so afraid that something might happen to the person that I was responsible for in my absence, right? So I found it really, really hard to do the things that I was doing when I was living by myself. So when I was living by myself, I used to go to ballroom dancing classes 3 or 4 days a week, and I loved it. And I had so much fun, and I really love Latin dance. It was so much fun. I love a rumba, I love a cha-cha. And then I started doing modern and new vogue, and I just loved it so much. And on the days where I wasn't dancing, I was hiking, and I was going on big hiking trips. I was walking the Camino, went up Everest, I did all the things. I loved it. So I had a very active lifestyle around work. It was beautiful. Came here to where I am now, and everything changed. Stopped all those activities because I felt like, I was afraid of something happening when I wasn't here. I felt guilty because, well, this person can't leave the house anymore, so it's not fair on them if I go and leave the house, especially for something frivolous like going to a ballroom dancing lesson. Like, who do I think I am? Do you know what I mean? I went through all of that. And what happened over the course of this time was, this is the embarrassing bit, but I gained 30 kilos. So, yeah, I used to weigh 65 kilos. I'm 5'3". I put on 30 and got all the way up to 95 kilos. And during those 5 years, right, I didn't even really notice the weight creep on because I wasn't going out, right? There was, we had the pandemic and all of that sort of jazz and lockdown, and I didn't get vaccinated. So yeah, it took me a lot longer to be able to reintegrate with society than it did for people who'd been vaccinated and all of that sort of stuff. And so I became very reliant on things like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Menulog. All of those services became really, really popular back then, right? And so it just became my new normal to stay home, look after people, and get takeaway. And also because at the time I didn't realize this, but yeah, with the ADDC that I've got, which is the hyperactive and also the inattentive type. So I've got both. And so because you've got both, you get the diagnosis of ADD combined, so it's called ADDC. So anyway, I struggle to do things like cook and follow things in particular order, and it's because my brain rushes, and so I don't see things all the time, and so that's why there was this big reliance on takeaway. And add to that, I was having a very sedentary life, being in my office here, working from home, doing all of the things. So the weight just kind of piled on. And then what happened was toward the end of last year, got that autism and ADDC diagnosis. It gave me a big reality jolt. I realized I need to look after myself. I haven't been looking after myself as well as I could have in terms of like my physical well-being. And I just decided that I was going to go to the gym. So when I got my diagnoses, I also, I was going to say hooked up with, but that's not the right term of phrase. I also connected with a really, really beautiful mental health counselor that supports women who are late diagnosed with autism and ADD. And I love it a bit, and I just get so much from our time together. And yeah, it was when we were having one of our earlier conversations, she was saying to me, about my life and asking me the history and all this sort of stuff. She was asking me, because we were talking about medication and stuff, so she had to know like my height and my weight and everything. Told her, and then she asked me about my weight, and then that unlocked the story. So I told her the story, and then she said to me, but of course you've got to go and look after yourself. And so it was just nice to have, somebody on the outside give me that and reassure me that, nothing bad's going to happen if I go to the gym for an hour, for goodness sake. And, just all that sort of rational stuff that you need to hear sometimes from a professional. And so with that, I felt more motivated and more like I had permission and more like it was going to be okay and I could do it. So then I joined this strength gym, as you know, and it's just down the road in Somerville. It takes me about 10 minutes to drive there. It's really great. I've been going there. I'm in week 7 now. And when I first went there, I was so nervous because my last experience of a gym was a very long time ago and it wasn't nice. What happened was I went to the gym and there were, it was like one of those, really big gyms, and there were, I don't know, lots of treadmills, lots of bikes, that kind of vibe. And there were, at that time, to me, my experience was that I didn't fit in because there were lots of girls that were really like, I don't know, really skinny, I guess, really skinny. It looked like they didn't even need to be at a gym. They're really skinny. They looked amazing, even though they were at the gym. They didn't have a hair out of place. They were tanned. They had, false eyelashes. They had the tattooed eyebrows. I think it was, what do they call it? Was it microblading? It was all the rage. I had these really great eyebrows, beautiful nails, and the latest, the Lorna Jane. And I was just like, I don't belong here. I really don't belong here. And I just felt so out of place. And I remember some of those girls were like looking at me and giving me side eye. And then I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I never went back because I felt so ashamed, embarrassed, all of that. Anyway, so this time when I went to go to the gym, it felt scary. And I actually went 2 or 3 times. I think it was 3 times before I got the courage to even go in for the induction. I found it. It's near a car wash. That's what I remember. It's near a car wash. And I remembered parking on the nature strip of the car wash, and I was just like doing deep breathing, telling myself, you can do this, go in, go in, go in. But I just was replaying that last experience, and the self-talk was, you're not going to be able to do this. This is going to be really hard. No one's going to like you. You're not going to fit in. It probably won't work for you anyway. So I was doing that. And anyway, so there were a few sort of hiccups for me at the start, a few sort of false starts, kind of like learning how to drive a manual car. You kind of like bumping along. That was what it was like. And then when I did finally get the courage to go, what ended up happening was I went inside, and I mentioned this on another episode, so I won't go into any detail, but for those who haven't heard the story, I went inside and they were packing up basically, and I lost my what. I had a major meltdown. I couldn't believe it. I was insistent that I was told that this was the day and time I was meant to be here for my induction. I couldn't believe it. I was, totally in disbelief. I was embarrassed, mortified. I was ugly crying in front of the trainer. So embarrassed. And then I was trying so hard not to cry that the crying got worse. And I was like doing that, how you kind of like catch your breath like that. And it was so bad. And then anyway, I went and sat in the car and just bawled my eyes out for 20 minutes. And but you know what? That was on the Thursday. And so then I had a few days to sort of lick my wounds and get over it. And I told myself that I was going to go on the Tuesday to the induction. When I went down to the induction, it was kind of like I felt even worse because now I'd had this embarrassing experience with one of the coaches. He's probably gone and told everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like I was, mortified, embarrassed, all of the things. But what was more important to me was going, because something had shifted. Like, I don't know, it was like the penny had dropped, or things had gotten to the point where I knew I needed to do something about my health. I knew I needed to do something about my fitness. I knew I wanted to feel better. I knew I want to start doing things, because recently I've started doing things like socializing again, like in real life. I've started socializing again. And now I'm thinking maybe at some point I want to even start dating again. I don't know. But it's opened up my mindset, I guess, to what could be possible. And so in order for me to do those things and to have the lifestyle that I really, really want to have, I want to be fitter and healthier and stronger. So even though I was really scared, I still showed up for myself. And so I opened the door and I went inside, and they were nice to me and they welcomed me in. I don't know why I said they were nice to me, but anyway, they were nice to me. And yeah, I got attention in terms of like making sure I was comfortable and I was okay. And, they helped me with my technique and things like that. And it was actually really fine. And when I finished the group session, I felt on top of the world. I felt amazing. And one of the things that I realized was I had been stopping myself from getting help because I thought I was so bad, right? I thought I was too overweight. I was too unfit. I was the worst. Nobody was as bad as me. Like I was saying all these horrible things to myself. And when I looked around and I saw everybody, what I realized was that, everybody is here. Like there are people who are tall, there are people who aren't tall, there are people from other countries, there are people from here, there are, fit people, there are unfit people who are getting fit. Do you know what I mean? Like there was all shapes and sizes, it was all like we're all sort of bundled in together. It was so different to what I had been building it up to be in my mind. And so I realized when I was there that I did actually fit in, right? I wasn't the biggest one in the room. I wasn't the unfittest one in the room. I was probably one of the bigger, one of the unfitter, but it gave me an opportunity to see a lot of what I'd been worried about was just in my head. Although it felt real to me and it was causing me to have real feelings and real physiological responses, it wasn't true. And that was so helpful. The other thing that was really helpful was I realized in week 4 of going to the gym, so I just go like every second day or something, but I realized in week 4 when I was taking a little video of myself, because you know how you see those people on Instagram and they're like, this was me in January 2025 and this is me 12 months later. I wanted to do something like that. So I just thought I'll take a video at the start and then every 4 weeks, so that just for myself, I'm not putting it on Instagram, but just for myself, I can see changes and progress and results and things like that. So I took a video in my first week and then I took a video in week 4, and I noticed in week 4, like I was stronger. So although it was really scary, I had no idea how to lift weights, but when it got to week 4, I could see that I was lifting so much more weight than I did in week 1. I could see I was lifting weight better, like in terms of my technique. So there'd been refinements. I not only learned how to do it, like I learned how to do it in the first little while, but then I'd gotten better at it. It was like there was this now sense of mastery developing. I know it'd only been 4 weeks. Like, I'm not saying I'm, Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything like that. Like, I'm not amazing at it. But what was amazing for me was to see the improvements in just 4 weeks. Now, I'm currently in week 7. Next week it's week 8 and I'll do another video, and I'm really excited to see, what's shifted. Like, what's my arms looking like now? What are my legs looking like now? How much can I lift now? When I first started, I could only go on the bike for 1 minute and I was dripping in sweat, panting, da 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 da. Now I can do like easy 14 minutes, no problem. 14, yeah. I don't know that I could do 15. Look, probably I could. I haven't been on the bike for 2 weeks, so I might have dropped back a little bit. But the point is that I totally understand what it's like to be aware that you need to do something. I totally understand the fear around getting started. I totally understand coming into a space and thinking that you're not going to be at the same level as everybody else. Like, I totally get that. I absolutely can relate to feeling like you're at the bottom of the mountain and everybody else is up here. I mean, when I started at the gym, this is no word of a lie. For the first 2 or 3 times that I went, they've got dumbbells, right? The dumbbells, they're those bars that you put the weights on either end and you like pick them up and put them down and stuff like that. Barbells, sorry. So anyway, the barbell. Now, the barbell weighs 20 kilo. And for the first 2 or 3 times that I went to the gym, that was more than enough for me. That was more than enough for me. Or sorry, it was 15 kilo because they call it a lady bar because it's got pink rings on it or something. But anyway, so I didn't even have weights. That's how behind the 8 ball I was. But you have to, when you're in the class, you can look around and you can see. So you got to usually pair up with somebody when you're doing the barbell work and stuff like that. So you've got a spotter, somebody to help you out. And so I can look around and see what everybody else is doing. And I see they've all loaded their bars up with all these weights. And I was just thinking, I'm never going to get to that. That will never be me, And I started with no weights, just lifting the bar, just an empty bar. But now I can lift like 70 kilos. 70 kilos, that's like nearly my body weight. No, not really. It's almost like 2/3 of my body weight, right? Just over. And do you know how pumped I am to be able to say that I can do that? That's really, really good. So I can relate to that feeling when you come into something and you look around and you think, oh gosh, everybody else knows what they're doing and I don't have a clue. But at the same time, they were all where you were, okay? It's just that they've been going to the gym longer. They've probably been there for 2 or 3 years. You're just brand new at the gym, right? Of course, they know how to go and do exercises by themselves and off on their own. It's because they learned. They had to go on a learning curve. I get that now. But it's the same for you with your private practice, right? You're going to have to go on your own learning curve. And just like I've got coaches at the gym to help me and to catch the bar if I'm going to drop it, I'm there going to catch your stuff in case it looks like you're going to drop it, right? So I just wanted to share with you that this was a recent experience of mine of facing a fear and of feeling like I was at the bottom of something that felt really big and I was never going to get there, and showing you that, with each week that goes past, if you continue to do the work, you will start to see results and things get better and things get easier. And you start to see that your confidence is improving, and then your mood improves and your outlook improves and your mindset starts to improve. Do you see what I'm saying? It's really and truly a process of transformation that I think parallels what we guide all of our clients on in the counseling room, right? It's exactly the same for them, okay? So, I think if you want to create different results in your business, whatever it is you're focusing on, I really think that there's so much importance to be placed on daily and consistent action. Create a daily practice for yourself of focusing on improving a skill in one area of your private practice, okay? And allow yourself to do it. Like if you buy the course, allow yourself to go in and actually do the course. Don't expect people to do it for you. I would never, ever, ever do my clients' work for them because I would never want to rob them of their growth, right? Now, there are people in Momentum at the moment that are working on their websites. They might not be the most tech savvy people. They're struggling, but I've got ways and I can help them, show them, guide them. It would be so easy for me to say, look, let me take this off your plate and I'll just do it for you while you go and focus on something else. But if I did that, that would be pretty horrible of me because then that person hasn't learned how to do it, right? So then she's always going to be dependent on somebody else and she's not going to change her story of I can't do websites. Do you see what I'm saying? It's why in the way that I work with clients, I always get them to do the work and say to them, once you've done it, give it to me and I will clean it up. I will give you some pointers. I will give you some guidance. We can polish it together. Do you know what I mean? But I will never ever do the work for my clients because it's so, so, so important that they have that growth. That's why they're here, you know? So, yeah. Getting help takes courage. You're going to feel like, before you do ask for help or even allow yourself to get it, you're going to be perhaps like I was and perhaps like some other women in private practice are, might be like down on yourself, blaming yourself, upsetting yourself, thinking you're not good enough, the imposter syndrome, all of those kinds of things. But you've got choices, okay? And you have to make a choice that feels aligned for you. And so when it comes to making a decision about, whether or not to start looking for support, what kind of support you need, all those kinds of things, I would say, first off, get grounded, like calm down. Don't go looking for help when you're in a state of distress because you're not going to find what you need, right? So always where you can, try and regulate your nervous system, try and regulate your mood, always trying to make big decisions from a place of calm, just like we tell our clients, okay? Then I would suggest go back to why this is so important to you. Like, why do you want to have a private practice? Think about, it's not just about your purpose, but think about the purpose of the practice. The business is a vehicle for other things. It's not an end in and of itself. The business is a vehicle to other things for you and for your clients. So reconnect with that, okay? Be honest with yourself. If something's not working, ask yourself, why do I think this isn't working? And if it helps, you could reflect on that. You could meditate. You could use it as a journal prompt. What do I think the problem is here? Like, this is what I want. This is what's happening for me at the moment in my practice. Write that down. This is the current state of my practice. Like, just bare your heart and soul on a piece of paper. Write down the current situation in your practice. Write down what's happening with your clients, your money, your marketing, how you feel, your self-talk. Get it all down. The next thing is to maybe write down what you really want in and from your private practice and just write freely. Like, who cares what you write? No one's ever going to see it. Be honest. What do you really want of and for and from the private practice? And then the third prompt is ask yourself again, honestly, what's the problem? Like, what's getting in the way of you being able to have those things that you really want and need? And that will be a first step for you to be able to make a decision about whether or not to go and get help. And if so, what it is that you're needing help and support with. And then you're going to feel better about getting help because now you're doing it from an empowered place. You're in control, which is very different to getting help when you're in crisis. Okay, I don't work with private practice owners who are in crisis, just like I don't work with clients who are in crisis. I just have a different philosophy, but I always want to support people who are problem aware, who are like, okay, I get it now. Yep, I did that exercise. I understand now. I see what the problem is. Can you help me with this problem? They're the people that I can help, and they're the people that I want to help and that get the best results. Because when you're making decisions for your business from that empowered place, it's a choice. You're more likely to go all in. I was saying that to somebody today. I was sharing with her. It was the new person who signed up today. She was just like, I've done this now. Oh, I've just gone and done that now. Just let you know I've done that now. I was like, wow, she's on fire. I said to her, I love how you go all in. But it's those kinds of private practice owners that get the best results. Best meaning they can get results specific for their practice that help do things that they want to do, feel, achieve, or accomplish, whether that's paying themselves, whether it's creating, financial stability, whether it's marketing, doesn't matter. They're the ones, because they're coming in with the mindset of, I'm ready to learn. So when they realize, okay, they'll say to me, okay, can you go and have a look at my website? I'm ready for it. Like one of my clients yesterday, when I did her website review, what did she say? Hang on, just let me share it, because it was so beautiful. I won't tell you her name or anything like that. Don't stress. But I'll tell you what she said. Where is she? Here she is. She said, so I did her website audit for her, a website wellness check. If you want one, let me know. Happy to do it. You don't have to be Momentum to get one. But anyway, she said to me, oh my goodness, what? And she put all these exclamation marks and question marks and like love heart emoji. And she said, you sent me over an hour of video feedback. I thought you might just give me a few bullet points to fix. OMG, I'm just so humbled by your generosity. Thank you so much. She said, I cannot wait to watch it. And then we were just talking about how it's like Netflix for your private practice. It's like Netflix, but for your private practice, when I do these video audits of people's websites. And then she said, yes, I'm here for it. So that's what I love. Do you see, like, it's just a completely different mindset when you come into something and you're ready because you know something's not working. So you're like, yeah, I get it. I know stuff isn't working. Give it to me. Give it to me straight. And then you can start to like get excited about making the changes. It's very different to, struggling with something, being given some guidance and then feeling like, oh, it feels really weighty and it feels really heavy. Do you see what I mean? It's just two different approaches. It's two different mindsets. So where you can, always, when you're making decisions about your private practice and what you want to work on, because of course we need to be working on the business, not just in it. So think about what you're working on. Always try, and either if there's nothing there that needs, correcting, course correcting, fixing, improving, whatever, great. Still be working on something, and it will help you in so many ways, not just with building out the practice and turning it into a gift giving, thing. And the gift that the practice is going to give you is the gift of being able to help people that only you can help, right? It's the gift of, regular income. It's the gift of passive income for those of you who are, setting up your passive income with your courses and portals and memberships and stuff like that. It's the gift of being able to be philanthropic, like a percentage of all the money that comes into my business every single month goes to the Lort Smith Lost Dogs home. right, in Fitzroy, Brunswick in Victoria. And I love to be able to do that. That's where I got Gabe, my previous dog, from. And he just brought me so much joy and love. Of course, I want to give back, right? So it's something that I can do. But had I not set up my business the right way, I wouldn't be able to be philanthropic. I don't advertise this, but I have coaching clients, supervision clients from all professions. So my current supervision load includes, I've got a doctor, I've got 2 psychiatrists, I've got about 4 social workers, I've got 4 or 5 psychologists. I'm just doing the maths in my mind. And then I would just sort of say everybody else is kind of within the complementary medicine side of things. So somebody doing Reiki, somebody doing play therapy. Do you know what I mean? Like a few different things. So not only counseling. And I just love it so much. I was going to say something about that, but I've just forgotten. It'll come back to me. So yeah, there's lots of challenges that you're going to experience, but being able to face challenges and overcome them is best done when you're calm, because then you're more likely to be in control and you can make much better decisions for the business. And I guess too, like if I had to give you a takeaway, the takeaway would be that, when it feels hard, and, to use my client's analogy of climbing up the hill, I would just say something like the steepest hills often give us the most breathtaking views, right? Do you agree? They do. The higher up you get such an amazing view. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, and also just to remind you that wherever you are in your business is great. It's right where you're meant to be at this time. But if you've got the niggle that, you might need to tweak something, adjust something, adapt something, then, listen to that niggle. Don't ignore it. Listen to the niggle and do that exercise that I just gave you a moment ago with those 3 steps. The 3 steps, just to recap, were write out what the current situation of your business is, the desired situation of the business, and then write out, what you think is getting in the way, the challenges or the problems, right? So yeah, I hope this helps. And if you do have your business plan, you should absolutely be using it. Okay. We don't just plan for the sake of ticking it off that we made one. You have to actually use it. So, if it's been a little while, maybe, dust it off, have a look, and then, start checking that you're actually on track with your business plan, because that is a really, 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 really effective way of you being able to create success. So I know this was a little bit of a longer episode. I would love to hear about your own story with private practice, and I would love to hear about your own challenges. Maybe there are things that you're feeling challenged with at the moment. I would love to hear about it. Or maybe there are challenges that you've overcome. I would love to hear about that as well. The other thing too is I've just started a blog. So I'm just going to go off on a tangent now. You can click out if you're not interested, but I'm just going to go off on a quick tangent. But turns out I love making memes, and I'm going to I just started a blog because I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you on Saturday or not. Maybe I did. But yeah, I started a blog as a way of testing all this stuff, and I'm going to put it together as a little mini course. But anyway, for my blog, I've made images, and I really, really love making them. And I haven't been on Instagram for a little while, so I thought, oh, well, I may as well throw one up on Instagram. It's already been shared a lot of times, and I got so much fun out of it. I'm thinking of maybe starting another Instagram account just for therapy memes, because I'm just thinking about some of the ones that I've got. It's hard to choose just one. I've got, honestly, in my Canva, I've got 93, and it's it's really hard to choose just one. But at the same time, I don't want to flood everybody with memes or anything like that. So I'm having to exercise some restraint, which is really hard when you're neurodivergent, as some of you know. When you start something new and you're in the honeymoon phase with it, like, you go full pelt, and that's how I've gone with these memes. But who knows? Could be 4 or 5 weeks from now, probably be over it and never want to see a meme again. But at the moment, I'm loving it. So yeah, you can look forward to seeing some of those. The blog has 2 posts now. It's called the Booked Solid Therapy blog, and it's just on my website, obviously. And yeah, if you have any requests for blog topics, let me know. You can do that by just leaving a comment on this podcast, or you can email me, support@brooklynstorm.com, or you can send me a little message. And yeah, of course, if you want to talk about your private practice and get some insights and some help with that, of course, connect with me as well. More than happy to help you without any pitching or selling or anything like that. Don't panic. But if you need help, let me know. I would rather you get a little bit of guidance now than sit in struggle for another how many weeks or months, right? Neither of us want that, right? Okay, I'm going to go. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I will talk with you in the Saturday podcast. Okay, bye. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Private Practice Podcast. So as you reflect on today's insights, imagine creating real success in your private practice without going down rabbit holes or exhausting yourself with business activities that don't move the needle. With Practice Momentum, you have push of a button help available on demand. It's like having an expert in your pocket ready to guide you whenever you need it. Visit brooklynstorm.com to discover how Practice Momentum can transform your approach to building a thriving practice. I'm Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the mind, business, and spirit of private practice success.